In the dead of winter during the Great Depression, rural Botetourt County, Virginia, was a dark, isolated place. Farmhouses sat miles apart, separated by frozen fields and dense woods. On the night of December 22, 1933, the Huffman family was awake in their home when a sudden, overpowering odor seeped through the floorboards. It smelled sick and sweet, and within minutes, the entire household was overcome by nausea. The physical reactions were severe. Victims reported a terrifying temporary paralysis in their limbs. The Huffmans' 20-year-old daughter, Alice, collapsed and required immediate resuscitation by a local doctor. A neighbor reported seeing a shadowy figure retreating into the woods. Directly beneath the window where the gas entered, investigators documented the distinct imprint of a woman's high-heeled shoe. 2 nights later, the Hall family returned from church to find their home filled with the same sweet-smelling gas. A doctor investigating this second strike noted a trace of formaldehyde in the air, while the victims experienced sudden, debilitating weakness. Police examined the Hall residence and discovered that a nail had been forcibly pried out of an exterior window screen, presumably to allow a spray nozzle inside. These strikes established a clear pattern. The specific chemical traces and the evidence of forced entry ruled out weather events or common household accidents. Someone was intentionally pumping noxious gas into private homes. By January 1934, the attacks multiplied. Dozens of households across the county reported identical midnight gas strikes, prompting terrified farmers to patrol the dark roads with shotguns. Local newspapers ran sensationalized accounts of the elusive attacker, dubbed the Phantom Anesthetist. With these headlines printed across the state, fear gripped the entire region. The volume of frantic reports and the danger of armed, sleep-deprived vigilantes reached a boiling point. Lawmakers in the state capitol were forced to intervene. The Virginia State Assembly drafted emergency legislation explicitly targeting the attacker. Releasing noxious gases in public or private places was declared a felony, carrying a penalty of up to 20 years in the state penitentiary. Outside one targeted home, police scooped up a sample of a sweet-smelling, oily liquid left in the snow, adding another physical layer to the investigation. The chemical samples, damaged window screens, and the rapid legislative response pointed toward a single conclusion: a dangerous criminal was operating in the region. Then, in February 1934, the official narrative completely flipped. Police abruptly closed the investigation, declaring the entire 2-month ordeal a hoax fueled by overwrought imaginations. Authorities systematically wrote off every attack. They blamed the sickening fumes on faulty coal stoves, common fly-killing fluid, and exhaust from passing cars. To explain the shared symptoms, the nausea, the burning throats, and the temporary paralysis, medical professionals introduced the concept of mass hysteria. It is a phenomenon where intense psychological stress manifests as genuine physical illness across a community. An academic paper classified the historical events as epidemic hysteria, determining the victim's suffering was entirely psychogenic. Researchers identified specific triggers. Americans were highly preoccupied with wartime chemical weapons, and this background anxiety supposedly primed the population to imagine gas attacks. This official diagnosis forced the local public to reconcile their physical trauma with a ruling that it was all in their heads. 11 years later, in the summer of 1944, a chillingly identical outbreak struck the town of Mattoon, Illinois. The victims in Mattoon reported the same sweet-smelling gas. They experienced the same sudden waves of nausea, the same burning throats, and the same temporary paralysis in their legs. The physical evidence mirrored the Virginia strikes almost perfectly. In both locations, police documented high-heeled shoe prints left in the dirt, damaged window screens, and mysterious oily substances recovered from the scene. Yet, despite the sightings of a prowler and the footprints documented at the scene, Mattoon authorities eventually reached the same verdict as their counterparts in Virginia: mass hysteria. However, there is a limit to the mass hysteria theory. While psychological contagion can spread fear and mimic physical illness, a shared delusion cannot pry a nail out of a window frame, and it cannot leave a footprint in the mud. The mad gasser remains a terrifying paradox, blurring the line between the mind's physical power and a phantom predator's documented trail.